TVGrace presents the inexpressible words of God, the gospel of grace, on the lips of Jesus Christ man. Abba, Father.
We've been speaking about yesterday and mentioned we will speak of the government of God. And the government is formed by the people, persons, that they begin to gather, very few, then they continue growing, they continue to increase the members of that small town that can even establish a mayor or leaders because they have no finance, but they begin to grow and grow. And the governments are established by the people. This government begun with 7 persons. Of those 7, others were added on. Sometimes I had 20, and of those 20, I would lose 10, because it was something new for them. And it continued to grow and grow. And now it is a family. Let's read Galatians chapter 6, verse 10 to see how a government is formed. Galatians 6, verse 10. Therefore, as we have opportunities, let us do good to how many? To all. Especially to those who are of the family of faith. The family of faith is the government of God. In the mind of the Apostle Paul, when he wrote those 14 epistles, and that he, or let's say, how wise was God in leaving that foundation established, those 14 epistles? Because if I was to appear without those 14 books, what was I to do? But the system believed those 14 epistles, but they mixed it. And it was codified, so they were not to be understood. You read the same that everybody else reads, but you didn't understand it. It was codified, so that the gospel of circumcision can be separated from the gospel of uncircumcision. When we speak about that, they in the media think that we are speaking about a physical circumcision, but it is a spiritual circumcision or a doctrinal circumcision, because the circumcision is for the spirit. But the Apostle Paul, in his mind, he saw everything as if it were a government. He saw families as government. Let's look to first letter to Timothy, chapter 3, in verse 4, how the apostles spoke to bishops. He said to the bishop, govern your own house well, and to have their children in submission with honesty. Not only the bishops, but he spoke also of the elders. Later on, we'll see that. For if a man does not know, say, how to govern, he that does not know how to govern his own house, how will he take care of the church of God? It is to say then that the Apostle Paul saw a family, and their parents are supposed to govern in that family. The work of the apostles of the circumcision was to subvert whole households. The work of the Catholic Church was to destroy towns, cities, and entire nations. And they've accomplished that temporarily. The work of falsehood A false religion does not know how to govern the family. As a matter of fact, those of you that were evangelicals, Pentecostals, that doctrine, what it did was destroy your children. It separated them. Those congregations are not in unity because their very doctrine does not allow them to unite, and they can't educate their children. But with the gospel of uncircumcision, the bishop, the elders, the father and parents of that family is going to govern well that family so their children from a very young age can raise up. As we see here, the super race that they say, Abba, Father, I'm blessed, apostle, the devil is destroyed. We've seen children here that confess the word that pastors out there don't even understand. Paul always, in his mind, saw that they were to be established a government here in the face of the earth. And that government starts with the family. I am pro-family. I am pro-family. I defend the families. I've destroyed two, but I defend families. And not that I wanted to destroy two families, it's that to be with me, it is a very difficult oven. It's very difficult. I understand that it is difficult. And there are men that have married and they've divorced and they've established another. But the government begins in the family. We have to govern our children. And the elders, the bishop govern their children, and then they can govern the church and govern the elders. Look at what Paul says as he was awaiting for this government to be established. Let's look at verse 12 of 1 Timothy chapter 5. Therefore, I desire that the younger widows marry, bear children, govern what? Their house. Give no opportunity to the adversary to speak reproachfully. Paul solicited to the widows that they govern well, to marry, not to stay widow, to govern their house and bear children. In verse 17, he then speaks with the elders. Look at what he says. Let the elders who govern well be counted worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in the word and doctrine. A pastor or an elder does a wonderful work, but that has never been united or established. 2,000 years and the church had not been established. The government of God had not been established. But in this hour, a nation is raising up upon the face of the earth like no other ever before. And it is a nation that speak one and the same, think one and the same, teach one and the same. It is a nation that has one shepherd all around the world. Because it isn't many churches, it is one church. Christ shed his blood for the church, not for the churches. Now, that church that has never been established, that he himself said, the spirit that is in me, that was in Jesus of Nazareth, said, I will edify my church. He said it. It'll be me. But how? Why don't you explain? It's me. I will leave, but will return, and I will edify my church. And the church is being edified, and it is called church. But don't tell no one what I'm going to say now. The church is the government of God. Don't tell no one. When the governors of the world become aware, they will have a government upon them. When a governor of the time of Jesus of Nazareth, Herod, heard of that child that was born, he sent to slaughter all the babes. You know why? Because he had heard of Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, that a child will be born, his name Emmanuel, Prince of Peace, and his government. He spoke of his government. Therefore, the wise men of the governors said, there is a child here in Jerusalem that is coming to govern. But he also said the increase of his government wasn't for his time, but that was a prophetic vein theology, a teaching that was to come wisely codified so that the so-called wise of the world didn't understand. But you and I know what's taking place. A powerful government is raising up a people that know who they have believed in, a people that is not moved by anyone. And that government is being raised up. And it's a government that they've awaited for 6,000 years. It's the government of God. And even though I said, tell no one, they're going to hear it, but they're not going to be able to touch it because it is indestructible. In Proverbs 29:12, it tells us what took place with religions. Proverbs 29, verse 12. If a ruler pays attention to lies, his servants, all his servants become what? Wicked. And in what government do you confide? Tell me something. The governors, what have they lent their attention to? To lies. Therefore, they and their servants are wicked. There is no government that can resolve the problems in Colombia. There is no government that can resolve the problems of the world. Only the government of God will be able to accomplish this. Only that government can accomplish. You may be seated. Listen, the persecution that is coming to me has already arrived. Jesus warned about it. It will be a persecution where they're going to try to and sometimes they exaggerate about me. They speak terrible about me. And it isn't like that. But sometimes some of the bad things they say is like, it's true. Because I'm transparent. I can't lie. I am transparent here and at home. What I do here, I do at home, and I do it anywhere. I do not hide. Oh, and let me tell you, I've been manifesting weakness, and they appeal to that. If we go after his flesh, his government will be destroyed. But it's that this is a government or a kingdom that has a foundation that says that from on now we regard no man according to the flesh. And if we knew Christ, not necessarily Jesus of Nazareth, but even if we knew Christ according to the flesh, we know him not that way any longer. Sometimes Paul, when he spoke about Christ, you say, Jesus of Nazareth. And suddenly, you discern it, and it's speaking because in him there isn't time factor, 2,000 years. One day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. It may be talking of me or of Jesus of Nazareth. And if you don't understand that, you know that then you're going to be very confused. Let's read Proverbs chapter 20, verse 18. Thoughts must be ordered by counsel. And what happens? War is made. The thoughts, Solomon said, many are the thoughts that come to the heart of a man. There are many. Good, bad, destructive. There are thoughts that tell you this is the correct way. But the end of that road is death. And in those days, with good counsel, in those days would be ordered. But in this time, the thoughts that come to you, blessed that are hearing me, my blessed, beloved government, when those thoughts arrive, order them. Give it good counsel. Don't be quick to act. Order them. How are you going to order them? With the power of God, not with the power that Solomon had. That was a wisdom beneath the heavens. This is the celestial wisdom. The gospel is what? Power of God. So what you're going to order your thoughts with. And what happens if you order them? With intelligence, you make what? War is made. So you're going to order them, and with wise direction, you are going to wage war intelligently against your family, your children, the trials that arrive, because they're going to come. I've faced many trials, and sometimes the thoughts arrive and they come hard against our human veil, but you order them with the gospel, that is the power of God. And I prepared for the war. And you have to prepare yourself for battle. For the war of infirmities, for the war of trial, as I've mentioned before, for the trials of persecution, for the war where when they talk about you, and sometimes they are true, sometimes they are true, sometimes they are lies. Sometimes there are injustices, but everything will come to the light because there is nothing that's hidden that will not come to the light. And anything that comes to the light will work out for the better, because every one of us are lame. But let the lame be firm and not veer from its ways. We are all lameness. In one or another given time, we've done something that has harmed our conscience. But with wise counsel, we can order our thoughts and be prepared for the battle we have ahead. Church of Colombia, order your thoughts. Prepare yourself, because a kingdom is coming to the face of the earth. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 11 from verse 1 through 5. Isaiah chapter 11 verse through 5. Chapter 11 verse 1 through 5. They shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse. That rod was who? Jesus of Nazareth? But listen to this. And a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. The Spirit of wisdom. The wisdom of the gospel. The one that helps me to order my thoughts. The Spirit of counsel. The Spirit of knowledge and power. The Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes. What your eyes see, do not judge. Don't judge by the appearance. The prophet knew that the gospel was going to say, from on now, we know no man according to the flesh. Nor make decision by what his ears hear. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth shall. Remember that the wise man said that the meek shall inherit the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Those that live under lies of lying governments. Verse 10 and 11. Let's continue. And in that day they shall be a root of Jesse, who shall stand as a banner to the people, for the Gentiles shall seek him. Listen, the people, I told you yesterday, are going to come in droves. When all of those cathedrals and those lies close down, they're coming to seek your help. In multitude, the people are going to look for what you have. What you have experimented in your spirit, the people will want it. And it says that they will seek him. He will be sought after, and his resting place, shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover the remnant of his people who are left in Assyria, Egypt, Pathros, Cush, Elam, and Shinar, and in the islands of the sea. All of those nations will arrive. Church, we are speaking of a government that's indestructible. It is a government, a dictatorial government. There is a dictator. His name is 666. And he doesn't ask for counsel. It is Jesus, the man Christ Jesus, reigning all around the earth. Abba Father, a powerful government upon the face of the earth. Say, I am part of that government. You're going to see it, church. You're going to see it with your own eyes. Musicians, please. Bishop Martin, I love you, church. I love you. I love you. Soon we will see each other with transformed bodies.